Salute to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for all that you do. Without y'all, there would be no us. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all the mothers and, all the fathers that are playing mothers. There's a lot of single dads out there, that play both mother and father. So, salute to y'all, man. Salute to y'all. Salute to the nation. What's good? What's good, everybody? Hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. Got some barbecue in, got some, whatever you were doing, whatever you were eating, and got to spend time with your mothers. Mine, unfortunately, is far, far away. So if you got to see yours, you should be blessed and appreciate every second you got to spend with her. And man, let's get into it. So the Las Vegas Raiders, they have a master plan. What is that master plan? Will Fernando Mendoza see the field sooner than expected? What are the rumors with Kirk Cousins? Will he start? Will he play the whole season? Will he not play at all? Will he get beat out by one of these quarterbacks in the building? Also, could there be some UDFAs that shake up this entire roster? There is more and more names coming out that the Raiders like an awful lot. Some of those names are gaining steam. Yes, we have a couple days until the 14th, until the schedule comes out. I think that'll tell a lot more about who starts and who doesn't start for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? If you get, some games that you think you might catch some teams, like Miami or the Jets and the Cardinals, maybe we get all three of those in the first three games. You never know. Then, damn, do you start Mendoza, right? I don't know. So that is the question. That'll be one of the topics. Also, which are the players, that I've been hearing, from camp that could possibly shake up the roster like we were talking about. And then finally, the last topic will be, is the Raider identity finally changing? Is commitment to excellence back? Well, we're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about every single one of those topics and more. Shout out to whoever's in the building. Stephen Sullivan, what's good, my brother? What's good, man? How are you? How was your Mother's Day? I got my mom some flowers and polished her headstone. Nice, nice, man. Nice. But at least you went to visit, right? At least you went to visit. What's good? What's good, man? What's good? Sorry for your loss, my brother. Greg Brewer in the building. Brad, what's good? What's good? James Furpo, always with the Raiders. What's good, my brother? What is good? How are you doing, man? How are you doing? Did I miss Raider? All right, so yeah, man, we got all kinds of news to talk about. What is the master plan, right? Is it to start Mendoza? Is he ready? If he is ready, or even close to ready, right? If there's a tie goes to the runner situation, do you put in Mendoza and just, swing for the fences? Let him get his feet wet, let him take his lumps, right? Let him learn with the offense that he's going to be playing with, obviously for many, many years to come, right? Let him get his feet wet. Let him get acclimated to the NFL. Do you do it early? There's a lot of people, even Fernando Mendoza himself, that says he has a long, long way to go, right? He's not quite ready. He doesn't feel he's ready. He knows baby steps. And of course, he's a humble guy and he's going to say that. But I'm sure, like he said, it's right now, it's like reading through a fire hose, right? And that statement right there tells me that there's a lot of information coming at this young man, and he is overwhelmed, whether he's a brilliant mind, a Yale scholar or whatever it is, right? There's still a lot of information you have to process. Nobody knows how big that playbook is. Nobody knows what they're throwing at him, day one. So there's a lot of information. And for him to come out and say, it's like it's like breathing through a fire hose, that tells me that, he's not ready. It's going to take some time. Now, there's plenty of time left, right? We still got OTAs that are coming up on the 18th. Then we got a couple days off, right? We got 2 days, 3 days, and then a couple days off, then a couple more OTAs. And then, we got a long, long time it feels like until August till we get some preseason games. That will be fun to see, who takes the snaps, who takes the majority of the snaps. If you haven't watched the interviews with Klint Kubiak, our head coach, he said he's impressed with all three quarterbacks in the building. All of them will get plenty of reps. There's people going around saying that he said Mendoza is going to get the majority of the reps. I'm going to go back and play it, pull it up here and play it in a little bit because I don't know if I missed that part or not, but I heard him say Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins was the veteran. He was going to take the majority of the snaps in the beginning, and he deserved that, right? Spytek also said the same. So how much will Fernando Mendoza, be out there with the first string? Will he be out there with the second string? Will it be, a guy like Will Putnam handing the ball off to him? Or will it be a guy like, Jackson Powers Johnson playing second string center? Or will it be a guy like Trey Zune? Will he be out there working at the center position, handing off to Fernando Mendoza? Bueno, what's good, my guy? Appreciate you pulling up. Um, the hell? Adriel Noose. What is that? 5139. Let's go with that. Appreciate you pulling up, Raiders. So yeah, man, there's a lot of questions to be answered, and we're going to try to break down and see what are the most, possible scenarios. What's best for this team? How are they going to look in the future, right? We talked about, we've heard about, we've listened about, we've discussed about, right? The fact that the Raiders keep saying it's a rebuild. But with the moves they made, the people they brought in, the draft class that they had, that, I have high hopes for. Some people, have it graded differently, but we shall see. But there's a lot of talks that they are very impressed with the draft. They are a lot impressed with a lot of UDFAs that can be pushing some of these veterans, off the roster. And if that's the case, then is it really truly, a long rebuild? We hear, I've heard talks about, the first 2 years, 26, 27 is going to be, rebuild, see what we got, where we are. And then 28, 29, they're going all in and trying to win a Super Bowl, which makes sense, right? The Raiders host a Super Bowl in 2029. Wouldn't it be great to host the Super Bowl for our Las Vegas Raiders instead of the Kansas City Chiefs like we had to when the first time we hosted a Super Bowl, right? So a lot of those questions, get your questions in. How do y'all feel about it? Got to get to work 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Man, well, if you can turn it on, put it in your ear, listen. I'll try to keep you awake, my brother. Or I might put you to sleep. You never know. So get back to work, my brother. Appreciate you. Raiders, my guy Furpo in the building. Always coming to show love. Appreciate it, as always. Well, yeah, man. So will Mendoza see the field sooner than expected? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say no as well. And I'm going to give you why. Because some people's expectations are he should start right now, right? And I think that's a little bit of high expectations. Just because other quarterbacks drafted first overall were thrown to the wolves, don't mean the Raiders have to do that. They're not in that situation where they have to, right? Cam Ward, who was his backup? It was Will Levis. Will Levis was his backup, a guy they drafted in the first pick in the second round, right? A guy that started a lot of games for them that probably wasn't ready to start a lot of games when he got thrown to the wolves, right? Was injured, played injured. I still have faith in Will Levis as a quarterback too. I believe that kid, in the right system and the, time to learn, he could be a decent quarterback, just like, Sam Darnold was, just like Baker Mayfield was. So anyways, my point is he didn't have a veteran quarterback in the building that they could throw out there. It was Will Levis or it was Cam Ward. And when it's close, right, tie goes to the runner, you're going with the first overall pick is why Cam Ward was on the field. I believe, if they could have went and got that veteran or had a coach that felt like, that was the way. Obviously, Brian Callahan didn't feel like they needed a veteran quarterback or, one that could give him a little bit more competition with Cam Ward. So the Raiders have that in the building, right? They went and got Kirk Cousins. We all know Kirk Cousins can play, right? He can still throw the rock. I will say this, in some of the videos I've seen of him throwing the rock, it looked like, man, he was he was training. He was giving it all to throw it. And at 38 years old, you know, you know what that not everybody's the same, right? Not everybody's the same. So will Kirk be that guy? He said it himself, right? If he's not the best guy out there, the best quarterback in the room, he doesn't want to play, and that could very well be the scenario. But I feel like when you got a guy like Mendoza, who Tom Brady has been quoted as apparently saying in Spytek that this man is a machine. He knows what he needs to do to get better, what he needs to work on, and how to work on it. That is huge. That's huge praise from, two guys that I respect in the building, and Tom Brady and what he's done in the NFL, and then John Spytek just for what he's done for the Raiders, the buildings he's been in, the help, he's helped them out as well. So Mendoza, man, this is my thing. If he's ready, it still doesn't make sense to put in Mendoza the first game or the second game, right? Put in Kirk Cousins, and maybe, just maybe, you play Kirk Cousins for say 4 games, 5 games, right? Maybe Kirk Cousins plays pretty damn well in those 5 games, but in those 5 games, the Raiders learn that okay, this offensive line is a lot more, you know, ahead of the process than we thought they were going to be. Our receivers are a lot better than we thought they were going to be. Our running game is better than we thought it was going to be, or up to par where they thought it was going to be. And the key thing in all of this is the defense. If the defense comes out and is better than they expect in the first couple of weeks, there's always that chance that in the NFL, starting quarterbacks get hurt. And I'm not saying ours, I'm saying other teams, right? There's other teams and a lot of teams last year that had 2 or 3 starting quarterbacks. The year before, I think it was 46 or 47 different quarterbacks started a game in the NFL. And the year before that, I think it was higher at 61. That's almost double. That's almost every team started a different quarterback. So there's injuries. And if Kirk Cousins comes in and he plays well, right? And teams knowing, hey, if Aiden O'Connell makes the roster and still on this roster, look, you got Aiden O'Connell, right? You got this kid in, Jacob or whoever they decide to keep on the practice squad. If they do keep another quarterback, right? You have this quarterback room, you have a first overall pick. This team looks pretty damn good. Why not put in the rookie and, trade us Kirk Cousins, right? He's under the he's on the roster for 3 years paper wise, right? That could be a scenario. It could be a scenario where this man comes out, he plays pretty solid, this team is decent, they're in a lot of games, and somebody needs a quarterback, right? I mean, look around the league. You got a rookie probably competing for the job in the Arizona Cardinals. The Steelers don't even know who their quarterback is, just like last year until the start of the season, right? Is it going to be Drew Allar? Is it going to be a guy that won a national championship 2 years ago? Who's going to be that guy over there? Will Howard, right? Who's it going to be? So there's a lot of teams. The Jets, is it going to be Geno Smith? Is it going to be Cade Klubnik? There's a lot of teams that don't know who their quarterback is, how the scenario is going to go, what it's going to look like. And if Kirk Cousins is playing well, there's a big, huge possibility that somebody is like, hey, what do you want for, Kirk Cousins? And if you can pick up another pick possibly down the line and trade for a guy, it would make sense to me. Makes sense to me. Shout out to the host. Appreciate you, Kenneth. Appreciate you. Let's see. Rookie Empire says we got to see our schedule first. The most likely we run it with Cousins. The only changes out if he plays bad for some reason. I don't think. I do think Mendoza gets playtime, but why rush it if we're winning? Why rush it if we're winning? And why rush it if we're losing as well, right? They've already said it's a rebuild. They've admitted they're trying to rebuild. So if you're trying to rebuild, there's no reason to rush it, right? You let the kid that is going to be the future of the Las Vegas Raiders at quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, and you let him develop until he's ready, right? But I get that, right? Let's see what we got, see what we got in the building. Makes more sense, right? Makes more sense. And then, like I said, the Kirk Cousins thing, there's a lot of talk, a lot of talk. Of course, from all the networks, they're all going to talk, they're all going to chatter, but a lot of them are saying start Mendoza day one. Start Mendoza, let him get out there, let him learn his offensive line, let him learn, the speed of the receivers, get better timing with the receivers. Let him be that guy day one in practice, taking all the reps, and because he's a learning machine, right? He picks up things fast. So a lot of the talk is let Mendoza go. So my next question to you is, does Kirk Cousins, does Klint Kubiak or John Spytek have the authority or the pull or the balls enough for that matter if they feel like Fernando Mendoza is ready to go and be out on the field? And how much of a fight is Brady going to put up with his beliefs that you start guys, you know, when they're ready, or you let them sit for a year or half a year or three quarters of a year, right? Maybe Brady has a different philosophy with the number one overall pick that won a Heisman and a championship, and a championship. We haven't heard his opinion on how he feels about it since then. We've heard his opinion in the past, right? On how he thinks it's ruining, it's ruining the NFL. Guys not getting a chance to develop, getting thrown into the wolves because they're picked in the first round or the second round, and they're having to play right away. Like Tyler Shugg last year. So we haven't really heard Tom Brady's take since Mendoza. How does he feel about Mendoza? And I wish somebody would interview him. It'd be nice if it would be me. Could interview the man and find out what is your take on Mendoza? Do you believe he's intelligent enough to start, or is it just one of those years where you're sitting all year and Kirk Cousins is the plan? Because I wouldn't be, I think I'm gonna be a little bit upset if Kirk Cousins comes in and just plays mediocre when we have a guy that a lot of people feel can come in and play, you know, pretty damn good, better than mediocre from day one. So is that the case? Is that the scenario? Do you see rookie Trey Zoom taking over at the right tackle spot? I don't I don't see that right away. Maybe that's the plan for the future, but I'm looking at Trey Zoom as a guy that I feel, from what he said in his interview, is a guy that's probably going to be the backup to Tyler Linderbaum, and also going to be the backup to both guard positions, and also, probably be the um, swing tackle out there too. So if they want to keep Grant on the left side and not, try to work him out on the right side and have him compete in camp, I'm sure Zoom's going to compete. All right. I think he's going to compete at every spot this year. Just listening to, everything he said in his interviews, he's coming to compete. So if he gets a chance at every position, he said he wants to, he feels he can play every single position. So I'm sure they're going to throw him out there and see what he has. And if he beats out DJ Glaze, then, that's, I just don't, I just don't see him beating out DJ Glaze right away, right? The NFL, that position, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. He's not great in the run game. He has shorter arms, right? Yes, he's physical. Yes, he's athletic. But you look at DJ Glaze, he's got, 2 years in the NFL experience, drafted the same in the third round, I do believe. So to me, it's questionable. I wouldn't mind having the number one pick again in 2027. All right, so let's talk about that. That was one of the next topics. So, Fernando Mendoza, right? And this kind of, I don't know, this kind of irritates me. But, anyways, Fernando Mendoza has seen being working out with Jeremiah Smith. I don't know where it was. I do believe in Florida somewhere or something. I don't know the whole report. But, anyways, they were seen throwing the ball, right? Was it before camp? Was it before he became a Raider? I don't know. I don't know where the footage surfaced from. But I kind of have a problem with this right now. Is it the Raiders thinking, okay, we're going to do whatever we need to do to get Jeremiah Smith next year, right? in the draft, if that's their guy, if that's their number one wide receiver that they think is going to change this franchise, or, are they just out there throwing and getting better? But my take is, man, we had a quarterback drafted in the fourth round, and he was out there throwing in the parks, in the desert, in the heat, in 100-degree temperature with his guys, right? With Trey Tucker, with I think even Devontae was out there a couple of times back when he was, coming into his second year. So why is Mendoza going off and throwing with Jeremiah Smith when he could be in Vegas throwing with receivers that he needs to learn timing, chemistry with? Like, to me, this doesn't make sense at all. And I don't understand it. I really don't. But my guy Mike Lopez says wouldn't mind having the number one pick in 2027. Man, I'm 51 years old, bro. I don't know if I could deal with that another year. You know how many times I yelled and screamed till I could not breathe, even though I knew we were gonna suck. Man, I can't do it no more. I just can't. I can't do it. A whole season, the worst in the NFL. Man, you can't. No, nah. And I don't feel we're gonna be there. There's no way, bro. There's no way possible that the Las Vegas Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. Miami, you don't know what they have in their defensive head coach over there, what their offensive coordinator is going to bring, right? You have teams like the Buffalo Bills who have changed head coaches and offensive coordinator. What is that going to bring? 87 Nada says, yeah, F that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I can't deal with no more losses, bro. I don't think we need the number one pick. I think next year's draft has enough players in it that no matter where we are, we're going to have a first round pick, right? Or you never know. There could be some trade scenarios where we end up trading some players and end up with, two or three first round picks next year, right? I'm I want to win some games, bro. I don't care another number one pick. I want to look like a real ball club. Facts, man. Facts. Preach that truth right there. See, that he gets it. He gets it. I want to be competitive, right? We don't have to be, 11-6, which I've heard some people saying already. Which I wouldn't doubt that. But we don't know what the schedule looks like, right? We know who we play, we just don't know where we play. And yeah, I like my man 87 Nada says, bro, like 100%. Just want to look like a real ball club. Just want to look like like we're not out there looking like a high school team, getting beat 31-0 by a Super Bowl champion, defending champions, getting beat in our division 31-0, having the Chargers just act like we're baby brothers, that step brothers that move to another state and only come to visit once in a while because we're supposed to run LA. And we haven't won in LA since they built SoFi. So, I mean, yeah, bro, I just want to be competitive. I want to be competitive. I feel like we have the team to be competitive. And that's why I said at the beginning of the show, right? Do the Raiders have enough to change the identity? Are they in a win now mode? If you read the description, I feel like the object is always to win now, right? You can say this is a rebuild, but don't tell me by Tyler Lindenbaum, by Nakobe Dean, by Quay Walker, by Jalen Johnson, right? By all these guys that they brought in, that they're not trying to win now, that they don't want to be competitive in the division. Come on, man. Klint Kubiak did not take this job to lie down and say this is a rebuild. He said it himself. His own words said, yes, this is a rebuild. However, we're trying to win every game. We're still trying to go out there and compete in every single game. And I believe we have the defense, we have the guys on offense, we have enough guys that are, don't have to be big names, but guys that are big time players and guys that I believe are going to be big time players. And we'll get to those in a minute. Um, would you trade Crosby next year for a top 10 in a third round? I mean, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Crosby didn't want to be here. And to me, right, That's like I said this before, right? That's like your girlfriend or your wife saying, "Yo, I don't want to be with you no more. Um, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go do my thing." And then can't find nobody. Nobody wants her. And then she coming back, be like, I changed my mind. I love you. You know what I mean? That's Max Crosby's situation. He went to Mark Davis and said, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I gave it my all. Trade me. And that, he got traded and they didn't want him and they sent him back. And now he's like all in, right? So that's a rough situation, man. That's a rough situation. But for a top 10 pick in a third round, I think that's a little light. I think the Raiders are stuck on a two first round picks. And I don't see anybody giving two first round picks unless Max Crosby comes out and has 12 sacks this year, 14 sacks, somewhere in that range. It's got to be more than 10. Then somebody might be knocking on the door and saying, all right, we'll give you two first rounds. But then the price might be higher, right? So I really don't see him going nowhere. If he wants to be here, if he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's all in, you know, on the Raiders again, let's see what he has. That's what I want to see. Um, Alice says Aaron Rodgers never showed up to any meetings. He's here in Pittsburgh, but there is nothing set in stone. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough to not know where your quarterback is, if he's gonna be here, if he's not gonna be here, if you're going with a rookie, a second year guy, and there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that are out there in the same situation, right? You got the Minnesota Vikings. They got 9 JJ McCarthy, but then they went and got a new quarterback. Hi today, what's good, my guy? Appreciate you pulling up. Right, they went and got a new quarterback and and Kyler Murray. How's that gonna go? Right, is Kyler Murray gonna be a guy that changes the Minnesota Vikings around and gets Justin Jefferson back to what he was in that receiver, Addison, and um, back to form? We don't know. We don't know. But I do know that with this roster and not having to have everything on your shoulders for Kirk Cousins, if he can just get the ball out on time and play within the timing of the offense and the rhythm of the offense, I think we should be pretty good, right? And if you're winning, why force it? Why force it unless somebody, like I said, calls up and says, hey, man, you're doing pretty good over there. I know you got a rookie. That team looks pretty solid. You might be ready to put that rookie in. How about, trading us Kirk Cousins because we just lost our quarterback. They say Mason Rudolph may be the quarterback. See, I don't know, man. Nothing against Mason Rudolph. I think he's, a pretty decent quarterback, but that's the problem. He's kind of like my guy Aiden O'Connell. He'll have those really solid games, and then he'll have a game where you're just like, who is that guy? Where did he come from? Right? But he's mobile. To me, if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm putting in Will Howard. This is a dude that ran a pretty much an NFL offense with two running backs that had 1,000 yards, two receivers that had 1,000 yards, and he's shown that he can be that guy, right? He can run a system. Sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, I mean, if anybody would be ready, I think it would be Will Howard. I think Will Howard was better than Mason Rudolph coming out of college, just my opinion. So, I mean, that's me, but let's see, my guy says, trying to see what it says. My guy Mike Lopez says, no disrespect to N'Kobe Dean, but he missed 21 full games in the past season. Don't matter how impactful and great you are, if you're not present in the field, you're not. It's just not worth it. I agree with that 100%, my guy. However, I got to look at the Raiders. The Raiders staff since they've been here. Um, yeah, so I got to look at the Raiders since they've been here with Spytek and the trainers that they got in the building. We've been a lot healthier than we were in years past, right? Every year for the last 4 or 5 years, it seems like we got six, seven, eight guys on defense and three, four guys on offense that can't play, right? Colton Miller, JPJ. And yes, both those guys were hurt last year, so not the best names to bring up. But anyways, and I feel like the training staff does pretty good, right? And he's not going to be asked to run around and have to do everything, which he didn't over there. I know he had Brom over there as a linebacker as well. But yeah, availability is the best ability, and I believe N'Kobe Dean can do it. Right, he's got a good offseason. You got you get to play with one of your best friends that you played in college football with. Then you got another guy coming in, Xavier Sorey, who could be part of that mix as well. So I'm praying for him. I'm praying for him, but I get exactly what you're saying, right? If you're not, availability is the best ability, and we paid a lot of money for a guy that missed 21 full games. That in 3 seasons. I get you. That's a lot. That's an awful lot. Jeez Louise. I agree with what you're saying. Mike McCarthy is the quarterback guru, and he'll figure it out. I get that. I get that as well. That's why I think, that's why I don't think it's a guy like, maybe it could be Mason Rudolph, because I guess Aaron Rodgers in those days with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, he was a guy that could move around, move the pocket, roll out. I mean, he still tries to, but so Rudolph kind of fits that mold of Aaron Rodgers, but I just think the experience or the intelligence of Will Howard. He's a very intelligent quarterback. He's got a pretty solid arm, and yeah, it should be a pretty good competition over there. And you do have Mike McCarthy, so it should be nice. And he's from Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy is. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun to watch the Steelers over there. There's a lot of new teams, man. That not new teams, but a lot of teams with new coaches. It's gonna be a fun year. Definitely gonna be a fun year. So the next topic is, and we'll get to that. I should have popped this up on the screen somehow. But anyways, could the rookie class and UDFAs shake up the entire roster? And I feel like yes. Now we did a live a couple days ago where we broke down the UDFA class. I think I have them on here somewhere. Um, well, yeah, right here. Maybe I should go with the right number. It's not gonna work. Yeah, 29, 26. I don't think they know what that rookie class is going to be. However, um, so there's been a couple names that have been talked about picking up steam, right? We talked about them the other day. Um, Gary Smith, defensive tackle. A lot of people thinking this man might make the 53-man roster. I heard some people saying that don't be surprised if he makes the 53, which I don't know what he's doing out there in camp, but I mean, the UCLA kid trying to make it. And then Sion Sloan, Mr. Sloan. I'm just going to call him Mr. Sloan because I can't pronounce the dude's first name. I thought it was Kane. It's not. I don't know what it is. But the edge guy, if you can play that edge, we talked about it, and linebacker, you have definitely a better chance of making this team. Then you have the kicker, the Tokyo Toe, right? Then you have Tyler Dusninski, the long snapper out of Penn State, which I heard, they really, really like. And if you can keep a guy that's a UDFA on a cheaper roster than the one they just brought in free agency, sometimes you just got to lean to those roster guys. And then Xavier Sorey and Chris Thomas out of Maine, both I hear the Raiders are very, very high on from what they've seen so far, from the interviews they did. That's why they brought them in, right? That's why they are UDFA guys. That's why they are signed already, right? Do they make the roster? If they make the 53, that means, guys like Tommy freaking Eichenberg that were not drafted by Spytek, um, and Asholo C Gun, right, that was brought in. Maybe these guys get pushed out by some of these linebackers that show, they can help this team with their athleticism, their physicality. Uh, and then defensive backs, I talked about before, Caleb Afford, right, at a Kenshaw State, another kid that they like. They also really like Tanner Wall and Devin Lafayette that we talked about a lot. And I'm supposed to have a video coming out on this man if I could ever get time to finish the damn thing. But a guy that I've been talking about since they day one when they brought him in. Somebody asked me about him. I said I didn't know. I had to go check out film, and I'm still trying to find everything I can find on this young man. But definitely is a guy in Lafayette out of Troy, the safety, physical tackler, right? Could be that last line of defense, that wall back there that makes sure nothing gets past him, right? Whether it's running or passing. So that's already what, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. That's already eight guys that really have a chance to push this roster, right? And then you have on the offensive line, because somebody asked, do I feel like, Trey Zoon competes for the right tackle? But you have Isaiah Jada. Yes, he's a left tackle, but with his athleticism, I don't know why you couldn't, he's young enough, quick enough, agile enough that I don't think it would be too much of a problem moving to the right side. Could that be a guy to come in and push a guy like DJ Glaze and Dalton Wagner, who I feel is getting a lot better, man, a lot better. We'll talk about Dalton Wagner in a minute. So yeah, Isaiah Jotter, Justin Pickett, another guy from Duke that's what 6'7", 320. They're trying to put at guard. Can this dude just move over to the right tackle spot and compete, right? Is he fast enough or agile enough or athletic enough to run that wide zone, right? To be able to pull, to be able to get to the next level, to be able to pass on those guys on the edge rush and then still be able to, stop a linebacker or a corner blitzing. So guys to watch out for, man. And then the one I keep talking about at a Queens University is Nicholas Henning, right? The Canadian kid drafted second overall as a UDFA, making a lot of noise, right? Making a lot of noise. And we're going to break down the roster and the salary cap in a minute. But so that puts it at, 10. And then Jacob Clark, I don't know what the deal still is with Sawyer Robinson, right? I'm keep trying to find out, and nobody seems to know. But Jacob Clark, Roman Himby, obviously, and then all the receivers, EJ Williams, Corey Rucker, and Chase Roberts, right? All three of those guys have a dang good shot of making this roster. And I heard somebody today was asked how many they thought um, rookies rookies and UDFAs make the roster, and the answer was 12 to 16. That's that's a crazy amount of number. When you only keep 53 on the roster, that means they feel like they got a steal in a lot of guys and they drafted very, very well. Fingers crossed they do. They have the youth movement, right? I love that too. Youth movement. Next season, Broncos 16-1, Chargers 18-9, Chiefs 7-10, Raiders 13-4. Ace Boogie. Get your boogie on somewhere else. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see the Broncos going 16-1 when your boy Bo Nix's leg looks like this. Come on, man. And he's got to worry about an ankle. Not only does he have a leg that is not straight, it's curved. And now you got an ankle injury. So we'll see how Bo Nix holds up through another season. The Chargers 8-9, I believe. The Chiefs 7-10, I believe. But I would like you to flip that Raiders around to 14-3. I'm just saying, but I'm not saying we'll be 14-3, but man, I'm just saying. I think the key to our success would be the running game. With the three-headed monster of Genty, Washington, shocking UDFA, Roman Himby, and give plenty of punishment to the defensive backs. All right, so I've said Roman Hemby is a lock to make this roster, right? Many, many times. I had a little birdie in my ear say I might want to retract my statements. So I'm gonna retract my statements. I don't know if Roman Hemby makes this team. I'm gonna tell you why. They need to keep at least 6 receivers, right? Maybe 7, depending on what they do. But I don't think they keep 5. I think they keep 6. And probably one of those guys is going to be running kickoff returns, and the other 5 are going to be asked to play a lot of football on the grass, right? And then I've heard they're only going to keep, I've heard they keep 5 running backs if you count the fullback, 4 running backs and a fullback, with Dylan Labe being the special teams guy. So he's really going to have to fight for that special teams. But if he doesn't make the special teams guy, Roman Hemby is, I feel, a lock for that 3rd spot on the roster. But if the roster falls a certain way, right, and that certain way is going to be some of these UDFAs fighting for a 53-man roster spot, to me that pushes, you know, the situation different in the running back room, and you keep Dylan Labe for the special teams, kick return and punt returns, because they like what he does back there. He's pretty solid, and they don't, from what I'm hearing, don't want to have to, put a rookie receiver back there or a guy that they feel is going to get, a little bit of grass time. This fool believes. He believes. Like Link be saying, can't make the club in the tub, right? 100% can't make the club in the tub. And another thing that I try to say is, you say you can't cook a dinner unless you know what ingredients you need to make that dinner and what the dinner is. So the Raiders, you got to know. You got to know what they're bringing in this meal, right? If you're trying to win, you got to know what you got, and you can't just keep bringing in guys and signing guys, bringing in more guys without seeing what some of these players have in the youth. Because we've had pretty decent drafts the last not just 2 years but 3 years. Now some of those guys like DCam might be on the way out, and that draft class will be another draft class for the Las Vegas Raiders that's completely depleted. And we'll go over that here in a second. I'll talk about that as well. Keep in mind that Lucky Tassi and the Japanese kicker made the team. They won't count for the 53-man roster as they are considered international players. The Raiders can only have one international player, so one of them will have to be a roster spot. And the international player, I think they changed that, which I don't. So you get 54, I guess, if you have an international player, but only one can take that title, from what I understand, from my understanding. So who is that going to be, right? Is it going to be the Tokyo Toe and they push Lucky Tassi to the practice squad? I've heard that Lucky Tassi doesn't make the squad, which I don't know why you would let this man, after you've brought him in you know, for a year, showed him football, had him in for another camp, right? Played him on the defense a little bit, then moved him to the offense. I don't know why you would let this man out of the building. So for that reason, if they feel like he's not good enough to take up a 53-man roster and they can't leave him on the practice squad because somebody's going to take a chance on him just because his legs are, like Volkswagens, the dude is huge. Mammoth of a man. So that's going to be fun to watch, right? Does Lucky Tassi make the 53-man because they want to keep Tokyo Toe? Or do they, not go with Tokyo Toe and go with somebody else? And it would definitely suck, but that's the casualties of the roster. Um, So yeah, a lot of UDFAs are gonna push some of these guys, and we went over it 2 days ago, right? Some of those guys might be right guys that were brought in free agency that might get pushed out. But we also have shit. Did I save that? Hold on. So I don't know how far down it was. All right, I'm trying to find this. Give me a second. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Oh yeah. Other news reports by my guy Levi Edwards. Right, Levi Edwards put out there only 10 Heisman Trophy winners have been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Las Vegas Raiders drafted three of them. Can you tell me who those three are without cheating? Without cheating. Somebody tell me who those three are. When does the 53-man roster due? It's not due till June. I believe June 28th. July, August 28th. Shit, I don't know. I'll have to look it up again. We looked it up once. I would look it up again. But I need to find this article and I don't know where it was. Also, if you've seen the interview with Hondo Carpenter and the doctor, right? The knee surgeon, the guy that does, the scopes and all that, sounds pretty promising. Sounds very, very promising that, you know, our guy McCoy, Jerron McCoy, might get a chance to play this season. All signs are pointing in the positive direction. So where the hell is that dang thing at? Um all right, I'm gonna have to find it in a minute. Maybe it's on the dang computer. Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, and Kenny the Snake. Ooh, what just happened? Almost deleted my whole entire phone. Yikes. Yikes. Um, all right, man. Where did this article go? Anyways, there was an article that came out. Um, and no, the answer is not Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, and Kenny the Snake. Brown, Plunkett, and Snake. Close. You got two of them. You got two of them. The answer is above you. The answer is above you. It is Charles Woodson, Tim Brown, and Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen, Marcus Allen, Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, and Charles Woodson. And possibly Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza. Possibly. At least that's the plan. Damn. I didn't know that was up so high. Um, all right, where the hell did I save that to? All right, let me try this. Can y'all hear the TV downstairs? Uh, Raiders. All right, I think this is it. All right, yeah. So this is it. This is it. This is it. Here's the article. Um, I should pull it up on the phone, but I'll probably have to re-sign into all that and all that and all that and all that. I don't want to do that. All right, so this is Silver and Black. Silver and Black Nation. The article is written by. Doesn't say. All right, hold up. Oh, Matt Holder. All right, so this is an article by Matt Holder. This is his 53-man roster predictions, and he gives the reasons why. He has Kirk Cousins, backup Fernando Mendoza and Aiden O'Connell, Sawyer Robinson, and Jacob Clark cut. The biggest question is when does Mendoza take over the starting role? It should happen eventually, but right now Cousins is expected to be the starting number one quarterback. No matter what, this coaching staff wants to keep three quarterbacks, and if Aiden O'Connell or one of the undrafted rookies, um, he would be surprised if it's not Aiden O'Connell. If one of those guys beat out, then Aiden O'Connell could be on the chopping block, which we already know. Sacktown Mike, what's good? What's good? Quirk, what's good? What's good? Running backs. So running backs, he has Ashton Genty, backup, Mike Washington, Connor Hayward, and Dylan Labe. No Roman Himby. Um, his reason, Kubiak uses a two-back system. Genty and Washington leading the charge, while Hayward would be the lead blocker in the backfield. Meanwhile, it feels like Labe is entering a now or never type season. Need to provide himself entering year three. Um, and his competition is basically Roman Himby, but his focus should be on winning the kickoff return job, right? Because they have two people back there, kickoff return. So his focus should be definitely on winning the kickoff return. Wide receivers, he has Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, Jack Besh, with backups being Derek Young and Malik Benson, only keeping five wide receivers. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think the Raiders keep five wide receivers? Do you think they keep six? Um, so he says he went with three wide receivers. The starters at wide receiver can vary week to week depending on how much the Raiders run 12 personnel, 21 personnel, and 22 personnel, right? That would be a big question. 12 personnel being two tight ends, one running back, 22 personnel being two running backs, two tight ends. That would be fun to see. But now that they have a fullback, I'm sure we're going to see that a lot more than expected, right? So honest distinction between the backups and the cut receivers would be pressure. This group lacks heading into the talent. If anyone can make a name for themselves and earn a roster spot this summer, it would be the fourth round pick who is on high alert, and that is Dante Thornton, right? He also has them keeping four tight ends: Brock Bauer, Michael Mayer, Ian Thomas, and this is Silver and Black, Matt Holder report, and Carter Runyon. He also has them cutting Albert um, Okowabanam and Matt Lauder, who they already cut, right? Offensive line. Now, this is surprising. He has Colton Miller, Caleb Rogers, Tyler Lindenbaum, Jackson Powers Johnson, and DJ Glaze. The backups being Charles Grant, Trey Zune, Spencer Burford, and Jordan Meredith, with the cut candidates being Antonio Mafi, Will Putnam, um, Layden Robinson, Isaiah Jada, and Clendon McCurtis. That is a lot different than I had it. Now, on defensive line, this is also surprising. He has J.J. Pegues, Jonah Laulu, and Thomas Booker III, with Adam Butler, Brendan Cleveland, and Tonka Hemingway being the backups. Now, last year, Tonka Hemingway played more of an edge guy, more of a five technique. So we'll see how that ends up. Let me know your thoughts on that. He also has cut candidate as Lackey Tassie, Gary Smith the third, Brendrake Martin, and Traven May. Now, I heard the Raiders really like Traven May and Gary Smith from what I'm heard. So, according to Matt Holder, he thinks both of those guys are Adios and Lackey Tassie and Broderick Martin. On the edge, he has Max Crosby, Twitty Payne. Backups being Malcolm Kuntz, Karan Crawford, and Charles Snowden, which Charles Snowden is already gone. I don't know why he's on his list. And he has cut candidates in Brendan Jackson and Jafari Harvey. I feel Jafari Harvey and Brendan Jackson both make this roster. One in place of Charles Snowden, right? And I feel like the other two guys take over. Melissa Angel Eyes was good. Sacktown was good. Jeremy was good. Appreciate all y'all. We need a DT. Do we really though? Do we really? How much of a DT do we need? Let's go Spurs in the building. Sacktown Raider family was good, man. So he has, like I said, Malcolm Coons, Karan Crawford, and Charles Snowden, which Charles Snowden doesn't count. X-nay on that. Jafari Harvey or Brendan Jackson takes that spot, but I feel both of them takes that spot. If you watch mine, I had them keeping more defensive edge guys and less defensive ends. Somebody just said we need a defensive tackle, but I feel like the Raiders' lowest position group could be, could be the defensive tackle spot, right? I would be surprised if they keep more than 5 at that position. And Matt Holder seems to think starters, Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, with Tommy Eichenberg and Cody Lindenberg being the backups, with Segun Alubi, Jamin Davis, who has already been cut, and Xavier Sori as the cut candidates. Now, if you watch mine, I have it reversed. I think Sori makes this team. I have a really, really, really high that says he is well liked in the building because he can play multiple positions. And we've talked about this before, right? Multiple positions. So he has starting at the nickel position. this is why I have to question a lot of Matt Holder's talk on Silver and Black Pride, because you have at the starting nickel position Eric Stokes, Darian Porter, and Teron Johnson. Now, if you did your homework with the Raiders, you would know Darian Porter didn't play the nickel at all last year. Neither did Eric Stokes, I do believe. He was pretty much the primary outside receiver against their ex, no matter what. Where he moved, he followed certain guys. And then Darian Porter was that guy on the outside as well. So if they move him to nickel, they move him to nickel. But backups, he has Gerard McCoy and Hezekiah Masses. Now, this is at the nickel position, it says, unless he just mistyped. Hezekiah Masses and Gerard McCoy are both going to be on the outside. I don't see either one of them playing in the middle. He has the Dekamarian Richardson, Chigazi, Anusum, and Greedy Vance as cut candidates. I think Greedy Vance makes it. Chigazi and Dekamarian Richardson I have as cut candidates. And then safeties, he has Jeremy Chin, Traden Stukes, Isaiah Palomau, and Dalton Johnson. Isaiah Palomau and Dalton Johnson as the backups with Stukes and Chin. Now, Tristan McCollum and Tanner Wall he has as his cut candidates. If Tanner Wall does get cut, I would not be surprised if he's brought back in for the practice squad immediately. If he impresses like I believe he's going to, and from what I'm hearing. And special teams, AJ Cole, they have Matt Gay and Alex Ward with Kanenzi, Matt Suwana, the Tokyo Toe, let's just say that, and the center, long snapper, Tyler Jasninski, also as a cut candidate. So let me know how y'all feel about those. And if that's the case, right, we'll go over the cuts again because I told you who was going to make it. So cut candidates is Sawyer Robinson, Jacob Clark, Chris Collier, and Roman Himby. On the wide receivers cut, he has Dante Thornton, Philip Dorsett II, Cedric Jackson, Brendan Rice, EJ Williams, and Chase Roberts. Now, Philip Dorsett, I do believe, made a post on X. Somebody posted Fernando Mendoza throwing the ball, and somebody said, "I bet they're going to erase every bad throw he made." And I do believe it was our own receiver Philip Dorsett who said, "Duh, that's what they do with every rookie quarterback or every quarterback. They don't post a bad; they show the highlights." So I don't know what that meant. Was that a swing? Tokyo Toilet, right? Fucking clip that. Um, yeah. So Philip Dorsett, Cedric Jackson, Brendan Rice, Chase Roberts, EJ Williams, all getting cut. He actually forgot two receivers, but we won't go into that. Um, and Brendan Rice. Oh no, he's got Brendan Rice on there. All right, Brendan Rice, EJ, and Chase Roberts. And then tight ends, he has Brock Bauer or Matt Lauder and Albert OK being cut. Antonio Mafi, Will Putnam. This is starting offensive line. I thought there was tackles separately, but anyways, yeah, there's a couple tackles left off here, a couple guys left off here. So that's what they have being cut. I find that um, I don't know. I don't know. Some of those guys, I really feel are gonna make a push. Let's see. My guy says Mike Lopez. Can Chase Roberts become the next Alice Pierce? I love that. I love that right there. And Corey Ruckner, back to back 1,000 yards in 24 and 25. Do not sleep on Brendan Rice. Sneak in as our fourth best receiver. Let's go, Mike Lopez. Preach that truth talk. That's what I'm talking about. So I feel the same way, man. Chase Roberts, I feel like is a guy that could be, kind of that Alec, right? Like you said, that Alec Pierce guy, that sneaky, Puka kind of guy that can create separation, that can be that guy in the middle, that's not afraid to catch the ball no matter what. That's got that Steve Smith kind of build. Does he have that Steve Smith attitude? I don't really think so. Uh, so yeah, man, I love Chase Roberts. Corey Rucker at Arkansas State just murdered my Razorbacks every time we played them. So I wouldn't mind him making the roster. Kick returns, punt returns, however he makes it. Special teams, that would be nice. And then Brandon Rice, man, Brandon Rice, that bloodline. We know the bloodline. His father, Jerry Rice, the greatest receiver of all time. I still believe, compared to the stats and the numbers, I don't think anybody's going to catch those anytime soon. I believe somebody eventually will if they can, play as long as him. But man, the way these guys are throwing it out there, Faded Raider was good. You know, Faded Raider, 14 months. Appreciate you. Let's go, Ray. Appreciate you being a member for 14 months. Damn, that's a long time. Damn, that's a long time. Speechless, speechless. Man, I appreciate that. That's solid as hell. My night's going good now. It's going really good. Going really good. So now I got support for 14 months straight. That's solid, solid. So appreciate you being a member. And I know I got to push more stuff out there. But again, I appreciate you. Um, and then we talked about the young players that are turning heads. I forgot to segue it and say this is the next segment, but yeah, the players turning heads is guys like Chase Roberts, right? Tanner Wall with his the way he grinds, puts his head down, learning. We talked about him and Chase Roberts, being able to watch film together, study the playbook. That's going to help both of those guys as well, right? And then the final one is the identity of the Raiders finally changed. And I believe, yes, I believe the commitment to excellence is back. I believe the culture change is back, right? The discipline is back. There's a coach in the room that everybody says is very, you know, short of words, right? Doesn't say a lot, leads by example, leads by actions. And if you can look at some of the guys that have been cut, and you're going to find out some of the guys that get cut and don't make this roster, I'm just telling you this. Don't be surprised when you hear some of these names that are traded are cut, because there are going to be a couple, maybe more than a couple, but there's definitely going to be a couple where people are going to be like, no way, no way. Just like the Charles Snowden thing, right? Everybody was like, well, Charles Snowden, I did not see that coming, right? The Tyree Wilson trade, some people kind of seen it, in the works, but didn't really see it in the works, right? So I believe this is always, bro, love the content. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. So I believe that this is the best scenario for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Like I said, you play Kirk Cousins unless he just gets completely beat out, and we never know, man. Maybe Aiden O'Connell in his fourth year in the NFL is better than Kirk Cousins. I believe he is. I believe he is. Our coaches, our general manager has went out of his way to talk about them both times. So there's going to be a competition at camp. I love that. But I just feel like the connection with Klint Kubiak, with Kirk Cousins, right? Supposedly knowing part of the system, but not really all the verbiage because everything changes. And Klint Kubiak said it himself. Or Kirk Cousins said it himself when he handed the playbook. He even had to ask, like, what does this mean? What is this? Right? What is this? So he said it himself. It's totally different than when he played in Minnesota. It has evolved a lot, right? He's been on 3 different teams since Minnesota. So a lot of for him to learn too. And they've all complimented Aiden O'Connell, right? But I believe, just like our coach said, in a perfect world, you have a rookie that gets to learn behind a veteran that knows how to get ready for games, right? That knows how to prepare, that knows how to watch film, that knows how to be a good teammate, that knows how to get his guys motivated around him. And we all know Fernando can do all that, but it's a lot different when you get to learn from a veteran. And we know Mendoza is a humble guy, right? He's not going to push. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be complaining, being like, oh, I feel like I'm better. I should be starting right away, right? He's not going to be that dude in the building. So there shouldn't be any drama. It should be the best guy goes out there and starts, unless it's the rookie. That's the way I feel. Even if he is the best guy, I feel like they're still going to give it some games, right? Give it some time. Get on the field in the NFL game, right? Get out there in preseason, and how much will he play in preseason, right? Do you risk playing your rookie quarterback, number 1 overall pick in preseason? Do you throw him out there and let him be the starter against the other teams, whatever first strings they put out there? Do you let him take first team reps? Will it be Aiden O'Connell? Will it be Kirk Cousins? That all remains to be seen. But right now, it's Kirk Cousins with Aiden. With Mendoza and then Aiden O'Connell, but it just makes no sense to have Aiden coming in, just schooling people, playing against the third strings, backups, and rookies. Like, that doesn't make no sense. So last year he was second. We'll see how that works out. But our coach, Klint Kubiak, said everybody's going to get snaps. Everybody's going to take time. And, may the best man win. Shout out for the $2 holler. And again, I believe you don't have to rush it, right? You don't have to rush it. If he's ready to play, put him out there. But we know the mentality of Mendoza. He's a baller, bro. This man, he wants to play. He wants to start. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? That's just your mentality as a quarterback. He's a leader. He wants to be that guy in the building. But we also heard him say, you have to earn the respect of the guys in the building. And the only way you can do that is to play football, right? You're not going to learn respect, earn respect from the guys in the building by watching film or making a couple plays in practice with nobody guarding you, right? One on one, just, you know, receiver and quarterback, no coverage, nobody rushing the passer, right? You're not going to gain respect that way. You have to gain respect by being a leader in the locker room, leading on the field in practice, being the first one in the building, the last one to leave. And I can't wait to see what the reports are, right? What are the reports? Who's the first one in the building? Who's the last one to leave? Are these guys trying to compete with Max Crosby, right? Is he there waiting for the doors to open? Is he there when they, until they kick him out? Is Mendoza that type of dude? We all know he is. So it's going to be fun to watch. And I thought the biggest takeaway from Klint Kubiak and what he had to say was, these guys, they're going to compete against each other. They're going to make each other better. They make each other better in the film room. They're all very, very highly intelligent football players. And that's just going to push this room and make it better. So I don't know why people are, trying to rush guys out, trying to trade guys. Let these guys develop into, a tight knit group and build this young man for the future. No rush, no rush. And we can still win games with Kirk Cousins, right? We can still win games. You got a solid running back. So we talked about 12 personnel. We talked about 22 personnel. I mean, if you got Michael Mayer out there, Brock Bowers, and Mike Washington and Ashton Genty, I mean, damn. Damn. So you got 5 linemen, that's 9, right? Your quarterback, that's 10. And then you got 2 receivers like a Jack Besh and a Jalen Naylor. I mean, that's filthy work. That's filthy work. That's hard to cover for any team. That's hard to cover. You can run out of that, right? You can pass out of it. We all know, well, at least if you don't know, well, now you know. Kubiak had a lot of plays. If you go back and watch the all 22 film, and we'll probably break some down before the season starts, but he had an awful lot of plays that he ran over and over and over and over in a game, right? Same formation, same lineup, just different, sometimes same routes, just throwing to a different guy. And a lot of times, different routes. So it's going to be a tough offense for people to pick up, as we seen last year. That's why Seattle made it to the Super Bowl. And I believe the plan for the future is exactly what they said. Play Kirk Cousins until Mendoza's ready. I wouldn't be surprised if Mendoza doesn't play at all this year, but I find it hard to believe that somewhere, some way, somehow he shows that he's ready. But then you have to answer the question, how many chances will he get to show he's ready during the season? Right? You have walkthroughs on Monday or meetings on Monday. You have a walkthrough on Tuesday, right? You have a walkthrough on Wednesday. You might practice on Thursday. Who's taking those reps, right? Who's taking those reps? Is it the backup quarterback? Is it Aiden O'Connell? Is it him, right? Is it, is it Jacob if they keep, him? We don't know who that guy's going to be. So how many chances during the season do you get to show you're not ready or you're ready if you don't get to show it and prove it in the offseason and in preseason? So shout out for the $2 holla Raiders. Raiders. Whoa. All right. Let me know if y'all can hear this. I'm gonna play this. And I'm gonna get off of here. Let me get y'all's thoughts on what y'all think. Guess I'm not getting y'all's thoughts. Hold on. What the hell happened? All right. Why are you not showing up? Window, YouTube, audio. All right, I'm gonna play it for 1 second, and then I'm gonna pause it so I can know, because there's a delay, and I have to know if it's working. So if y'all can tell me yay or nay, I'd appreciate y'all.
Talked about, and his intelligence as he set his other teammates up. Because I thought, Coach, it was great that his goal that day was to enhance his teammates to help them get drafted.
Yeah, well, I think you could, first see it on his film. Obviously when you're winning that many games, he's doing something right. But to see it up close and
I don't think you'll hear that. Can you see me? Where's me? Can you hear it? Could you hear it? Could you hear it or no? I don't know why it's not showing the video, but it should have sound. Yes, we can hear it. All right. Keep playing it, I guess. So this is Klint Kubiak on his quarterbacks.
How he organized the workout and commanded his teammates and got them lined up and just completing every ball, and obviously had a lot of chemistry with those guys. So that was impressive. That was to be expected, though, too. You know, that's what's demanded at his position.
With Kirk Cousins, you brought him in, your familiarity with him, just what a player, how smart he is. You have Aiden O'Connell in the building, and now Fernando. What's it like in that quarterback room as you're about to get ready for OTAs with all the just experience you have there and the leadership qualities?
I think the great thing John Spytek did was just add a really competitive room. You know, between Kirk, Aiden, and Fernando, those are three excellent players right there. And, you know, we're going to coach our tail off, but no matter what, they always bring the best out of each other. So when it's a competitive room, it's a good thing.
See
And
that
a lot
look
of
on his
fans are
face?
asking me on radio about the competition and who's going to prove to be a starter. That's a good position to be in. You've had a lot of really good quarterbacks in your career as a coach, as a coordinator. So the competition, what do you expect to see from that when we get to camp?
Yeah, well, I expect the guys to go out and do their job, and you know, they always talk about our quarterback competition. They're competing against the defense every day, you know, and but you know, Kirk and Aiden are going to get reps. Fernando's going to get a lot of reps. We got a long way to go till we start playing football in September. But you know, Kirk Cousins having his veteran leadership, guy that's run this offense before, but been in a lot of systems. Guy that can still play, can still move, can still throw the football really well, and he's done a phenomenal job in these meetings with Aiden. I've been really impressed with Aiden. Being around him, you can see why he's such an intelligent, professional guy, and I think he's got a lot of talent to work with as well.
I've seen plenty of power banks over my field.
All right, so yeah, let's hide this. Hide. So yeah, man, that's we can see it too. All right, well, that's cool. All right, so that is him talking about our coaches. Then he also goes on to talk about Andrew Janocko, and I think this is the missing link and the special piece to this offense. Right? He talks about how without Andrew Janocko, he don't know where he would be. Right? How Andrew Janocko, he's been able, he's lucky and blessed to be able to have him at a couple of stops now where he's went and have him with him throughout. And there's a reason why he was made the offensive coordinator, quarterback, coach that he's been the last couple of places they've been. And him and Andrew Janocko have a great, great connection. And I feel like he's going to get the best out of this quarterback room, right? They finally went out and decided they did need a quarterback coach. So they have that. But Janocko is that guy. So he's going to be the offensive coordinator that also, gets to be that guy that's showing these quarterbacks the system, showing them the way, showing them the Raider way, right? Not the Raider way, because the Raider way how to play quarterback has not been good in the past. But let's talk a little. Let's show this a little bit more. Where the hell did it go? Come on, man. Stop playing. All right. Andrew Janocko.
– 15 years of reviewing tech, but this Ridge one quickly became a favorite. So this,
Coach, let's highlight some of your coaches here. Mike Sullivan, I saw Mike McCoy today. Andrew Janocko. When I look at Rick Dennison, just a few of them, because you got so many coaches here. What do you like about putting this coaching staff together, from experience to some of the younger coaches who you were able to reward?
Yeah, I think experience is the number one thing that we were looking for here. And, I'd start with Rick Dennison, who's, been coaching this league for a long time as a special teams coordinator, offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. He's done it all, and just really excited to have him, lead our offensive line. It's really a critical job that he has. Him being the head coach of that group, wouldn't want anybody else to do it. Andrew, I've worked with him many stops, and Andrew is a really talented coach. He's a phenomenal teacher of the quarterbacks, very demanding, very detailed, very prepared. He's been my right-hand man for many years. And, I'm just really fortunate to have Andrew here. I could talk about all these guys. We do have some younger coaches too, but we got this time of year. We're spending a lot of time together in the meeting room, making sure that we're on the same page before we get in front of those players, that we're thinking out all the positives and negatives of these schemes that we're putting in, and putting these players in a position to be successful.
You mentioned teaching. I'm happy you said that, Coach, because I talked to Fred Bolitnikoff, and he was out there, and he noticed the teaching style and how great that was. What can you tell us about your fundamentals with that, dating back to your father and even before that, as a former player, what the teaching aspect is like for you now that you're the head coach, but you want your position coaches to really teach along the way, especially the young players?
That's our job. I think that's how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as teachers, and this time of year is the time to really focus on the fundamentals, because once we start snapping the ball, all these great ideas that we have really are irrelevant if our...
So, teachers, man, I love the fact that he says this. That's our job, right? We're teachers. We're focused on the fundamentals. And that's what I want to see in practice, right? I want to see these guys, tackling. I want to see them showing how to tackle. It cut out a bit. Oh, shit. All right, we'll pull it off. But I want to see these guys tackling, man. I want to see them, if they're not great tacklers, right, being coached on how to tackle, on how to... Where the hell did my thing go? Fuck out of here. All right, so yeah, man, I love the fact that that's what their focus is. Their focus is on fundamentals, right? Catching the ball with a triangle, hands out, right? Carrying the football with 3 points of pressure, right? Having it tucked in your arm, right? Doing the small things, the little things, making sure you don't miss with your hands, right? When you're trying to block, make sure your hands are in his chest where they need to be, right? Under the shoulder pads, so you can grip and push people around and move people without having to hold them, right? The small things in the NFL is what makes the good teams better, right? And also, it said it was cutting out, so I'm not going to play the rest, but in another interview, right? They talk about just being the best at the little things, right? Not having the stupid penalties, not making the dumb plays after the play, right? Stopping when you hear the whistle blow, right? Not hurting your team, right? Those small things are going to go a long, long way. And I believe that last year, this team, if they would have had Klint Kubiak coaching this team, it would have been a way better team last year with the players we had. And now we've even evolved, right? We got better linebackers. We got better safeties. We got youth. We have speed. We have speed on the offensive receiving core. Here, let me show this. I don't know. This is somebody else's report, but I won't show it because I guess it's messing up. But so somebody posted the Raiders fastest offensive skill group in the NFL. Our average time for receivers right now, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of 9 receivers of the fifth, what do we got? 13, 14. Out of the 14 receivers we have in the room, 9 of them, the average time between that 9 is 4.38. That is Al Davis lightning speed, which would have him, excited, and screaming Raiders in the grave. Shout out to the great Al Davis. But Trey Tucker, 4.4 speed. Ashton Genty, they say 4.42 speed. Jalen Naylor, it says 4.39. I think I think him and Trey Tucker got mixed up. I think he runs a 4.5, a 4.4. But anyways, 4.39. Dante Thornton with this 4.3 speed. Malik Benson a 4.37. Jack Best runs a 4.46. Mike Washington with 4.3. EJ Williams, they say 3.9. I don't know if that's correct or not, so don't quote me on that. And then Brock Bowers in the 4.5s or 4.4s. I think it's 4.5s. I don't think he's 4.4 quick. But man, either one, that's fast. And then I'm gonna show this video and then I'm gonna get the hell off of here. This video, man. This video. I need to know why from the Raiders, and somebody, share this out, post this out, clip this, post it on X, because I want to know the answers, man. I need to know the answers. It's really pissing me off. I don't know the answers. And this video is, hold on, it's going to take me a second. I don't have it pulled up. I need to go to bookmarks. Come on, man. You're holding the live up. Holding the live up. All right, Marky Marks and the Funky Bunch. Gotta share a video again. All right, I'm gonna share this video. Hopefully it plays and doesn't cut out. X bro. All right, yeah, it started lagging big time right away. All right, so let me get this full screen. And then let me go over here and change to full screen and see if it helps. All right, that's better. All right, so this is my boy, Taylor Green. Look at this pass. Oh, to the guy I wanted. You know who that is? It's Denzel Boston. But look at this throw. On the dart. On the money. And I got one more. Exit out of this. One more for you. Oh. My boy Strickland got lit up. But that was the video. Where's the other one? What the hell? All right, I guess you're watching all my videos. I don't know where it went. I thought I had both of them. But anyways, there was another pass from Taylor Green to yeah, let me get out of that shit. Stop sharing. But there was another pass from Taylor Green to KC Concepcion that was nasty, right in his hands, and he dropped it. But then there was a couple passes that he caught some good throws. I've been saying this. If you don't know, now you know. Don't be surprised when I'm right about Taylor Green, like I was right about Jackson Dart. Like I'm probably going to be right about Riley Leonard when he gets his opportunity. He showed little pieces of it last year, right? Don't be surprised when Taylor Green is not a starting wide receiver in the NFL, but he is starting games for the Cleveland Browns this year. This man is making it look easy in camp. And the question that I have is, why are the Cleveland Browns out there practicing on 7-on-7 when the Raiders have not done any 7-on-7s that I've known about, that I've heard about, that I can get film on, that's out there? You know what we get for camp practices? Guys running, guys doing running drills and stretching and working out and music and clowning. Why don't the reporters report what's going on? I want to see some great throws from Fernando Mendoza. I want to see what Kirk Cousins looked like when he comes out there in OTAs. And why is this footage out there for the Cleveland Browns and it's not for our Las Vegas Raiders? I don't think it's fair in the NFL. And I'm very, 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 very highly upset that every time I look on X, there's another play of Taylor Green throwing a bomb to the receiver that we should have got in Denzel Boston, to the receiver that we could have got in KC Concepcion, right? From the quarterback that we should have got in Taylor Green. But the biggest problem and the knack that I have is Why are they playing 7-on-7s? Why are we not doing that? Right? Doesn't that make you better? Why isn't our team got footage from all these, great reporters like Jesse Merrick and Vegas Sports Today, my guy, Mike Dixon. Where is the actual footage of guys playing? I want to see guys throwing interceptions. I want to see guys making miraculous catches with somebody covering them, not one-on-one. I don't want to see Mendoza throwing the ball, 40 times coming out of a rollout. Oh, and that's the other thing. Before I get off here, I got to complain about this too. Yeah, I do. I forgot. Um, I definitely have to complain about this. So this really irritates me as well. I guess we're going on Rebel soapbox today, but this play. Okay, is it that one? Not that one. Not that one. I got one somewhere. But this play, man, I don't know. I messaged the great Kurt Warner, right? Or I just said, somebody answer Kurt Warner, Chase. Yeah, he didn't. He didn't reply. So, Chase Daniels. Yeah, I shouldn't even say his name because he didn't reply. But I want to show this video because this is something that I really, really don't understand, and it really irritates the hell out of me, and it makes no sense. So I would like for somebody to try to explain it, if you could. So why is our quarterback? Yeah, and it's going to run on repeat while I go on my soapbox. At least it should. But yeah, so you take the handoff. Look at the pose. I mean, look at the pose for one. What is this? What is this? What is this fancy handoff and stop and pose for a minute? Like, come on, that you're gonna have to cut it out. I know you're a rookie, but that was way too long of a stretch. He's like, oh wait, I forgot, I got to turn and run. The whole point of the drill is to hand off and roll out, and he's stopping and admiring his handoff. But the main concern I have is Fernando Mendoza had a problem that everybody said, everybody that talked about Fernando Mendoza that watched film on him, his biggest knock was when there's pressure in his face, he drops his eyes. When he has to roll out of the pocket, he's dropping his eyes. Why in the hell are we running this drill where this man rolls out, see him catch the football, look down to catch a football, then you have to spin it around and get it to where you want it on the laces and then throw the ball? To me, this drill is absolutely nonsense, and I don't understand why the Raiders. I did not hide. I don't understand why the Raiders are running this drill. Like, hand off and then roll out. But I know the hand-eye coordination, but you're never ever in a game to hand the ball off to somebody and then have another ball in the game. You're never going to have two footballs in a game. You're never going to hand off and then catch the ball, even if it's a trick play. The quarterback's usually not going to catch the ball. But my point is, the whole point of him not being able to take snaps under center was the biggest problem was going to be turning your back to the defense and then finding the open man and dissecting the defense, who's probably going to be in a different look by the time you turn your back, right? You might be looking at it up front and thinking, okay, they're in cover 3, and then by the time you turn around, right, you don't know what they're in. They could be blitzing, they could be in a cover 4, they can be in man, they can sneak up and press. Like, there's press on one side, zone on the other. They can be in a Tampa 2. You don't know what they're going to be in. So the problem with that I have is you shouldn't be rolling out and when you're turning around trying to catch and locate a football and then figure out how to catch it and then throw it, because the NFL is all about timing. Their timing plays and their rhythm plays, and you're distracting his rhythm of coming out of his rollout, looking downfield and throwing the ball, because now he's got to take time to locate a ball, catch the ball, and then get it where he wants it, on his laces where he holds the ball, and then throw it also on the run. And I think that's just a little bit too much that you really don't need to be doing. So I don't know about y'all, but if y'all could tell me, better than Kurt Warner did, of why this drill, Raiders fan watching Cleveland, legendary. Yes, I do watch Cleveland because my boy Taylor Green is over there, and I'm an Arkansas Razorbacks fan. So Yeah. I am watching Cleveland. It sure the hell ain't for Shador, and it damn sure ain't for Deshaun Watson, but they do have, the number one receiver in the draft, I thought, and Denzel Boston, and they got my boy Taylor Green. So I don't know how legendary it is, but um, LOL, tell us you're just a number two hater without telling us. A number two hater. I take shits all the time, bro. I don't hate on number two. It's good for your digestive system. It's good for your body. So nah, bro. I never hated on a number two. Yeah, I like my morning time on the phone. Like, what you mean, bro? Raiders are butt cheeks, Teflon. Your ass butt cheeks, Teflon butt cheeks. Instead of hearing this projective is what winning the off season. Fast forward, he does nothing all season. What? Instead of hearing this prospect is winning the offseason, fast forward, he does nothing all season. you don't think you don't think he plays at all? You don't think he gets in the game not one time? I just don't have that much faith in Kirk Cousins, right? I've seen Kirk Cousins play. I've watched him since, he was battling for a job over there his rookie year, right? Drafted behind um RG3 in Washington, right, with the Redskins. I've watched Kirk Cousins' career, man. I've seen him with Kubiak in Minnesota. I've seen him go to the Falcons, right? I've seen his career. It's just he's okay, and he's a mid quarterback, but he's also a mid quarterback that's past his prime. He's 38, and I don't know how long he can stay healthy, or if he can still have the 60 whatever 2% accuracy he has throughout his career, or throw for 3,000 yards or 4,000 yards like he has in his career. I don't know if he can do that. So for that, I feel like it's just a matter of time for Fernando Mendoza to get in the game. The question is when, right? When does he get in the game? So I'll leave that for y'all. Arnie Garza in the building. What's good? Bro, calm down. Those drills help with your reaction. How do they help with your reaction? And I don't need to calm down. I don't know I need to calm down, but I don't know. To me, those drills do not help with your reaction. 805 in the building. He's selling the fake. It's a fake drill. It's how you know you get the most out of one rep. Work on your handoff and throwing on play action. Practice time and reps are limited. I get that. Reps are limited. But I just don't like my quarterback taking his eyes off the downfield to catch a ball in a rollout. That's never going to happen in a game, right? It's you're teaching bad habits and motions that don't need to be, to my opinion, don't need to be practiced. Don't need to be practiced. So I get taking off the handoffs. I get that. But man, you can fake the handoff, right? You don't have to hand it off. You can fake the handoff and roll out and keep the ball and then pass and have this guy a little bit, more prepared and ready to go, I feel. So I get the drill. I get it. I know what it's for, right? Just I still won't understand it. I don't understand it. To me, it just doesn't make sense to have your quarterback catch a ball, find the laces, and throw while he's on the run coming out of a rollout when those what he needs to be working on. His steps, the depth of his drops, right? Is it a 3-step? Is it a 5-step rollout? Is it a 7-step rollout? Right? All those things you got to be working on. And now you're trying to make a quarterback work on catching a ball. It just doesn't make sense. Maximize the output of each rep with limited reps and time. Yeah, but you're maximizing useless reps. That's like having a linebacker go out there and jump and tip balls like he's on the defensive line instead of tackling and wrapping up and hitting bags, right? I mean, to me, that I don't know. To me, that is, but hey, yo, I got to catch a live. What's good, my guy Black in the building? Appreciate you pulling up. Y'all go check out his channel, Business Decision Sports. Over there pulling it up every day, doing his thing. Y'all go check him out. Maybe we can get him on the show one of these days. That's not what I'm saying. Here you hear about and watch Taylor Green make a play Viva video. You know who we hear about. What, you mean the Sanders kid? You mean the Sanders kid? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm lost. But yeah, I was watching Taylor Green though. Sort of like practicing two plays at once. I get to practicing at two plays at once. I just don't I don't get the rep. It just doesn't make sense to have my quarterback catching the ball. And whether it's 2 snaps, 3 snaps, it just doesn't seem like, something that should be going on for them. I mean, just me. Then they struggled during the season. Everybody struggles during the season, especially late in the season. Sort of like practicing 2 plays at once. No rep is useless. That drill is more focused. Where'd that go? Damn it, I'm trying to read. That drill is more focused on the technique of the handoff. The throw is secondary. Just trying to get a throw out as well as maximize production of the rep. I get that. I get that 100%. But I just don't feel like he needs more reps at handing the ball off than he does at rolling out, finding the defense, after his back's turned to the defense. So appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll put something together for sure. My trust is beyond my knowledge for this one. Right? I mean, I don't know. I played a lot of football, right? I didn't play in college, but I played through junior high, I played through high school. I tried to help out the teams afterwards when I was older, coached a little bit, coached my sons, right? So I'm not saying I got, 25 years of coaching experience or playing and coaching experience, but it doesn't make sense to me, bro. It doesn't make sense at all. You should be maximizing drills that he needs to get better off. The handoff, I mean, yeah, it's a little different. You're in a pistol and you're just, putting it out, or sometimes you're turning, coming out of center. I mean, it's pretty much 3 steps before you're handing the ball off, right? It's not something that I feel needs to be worked on more than taking handoffs, knowing the depth, the depth of your rollout, knowing the timing of the play, right? So you know how far you should be dropping back. Like he said, the thing he's counting on, trying the most is his footwork, right? He's worried about those first 2 steps. Those first 2 steps should be more important. And I just don't know how catching a ball in the process of that is helping at all when you have a problem dipping your eyes, and has had a problem, right? But yeah, appreciate 805 pulling up in the building as well. Y'all go check out his channel. He is growing over there tremendously daily. Good knowledge, does film breakdown, right? A guy that's played, coached. So his whole life has been about football. Go check it out. What else we got? So yeah, man, like I said, what do you feel, the identity has finally changed for this team? And I feel like it has. I wouldn't be surprised if, 10 to 12 or more guys from this draft in the UDFA make this roster. Right? Teron Johnson, another guy that didn't show up in camp from what I hear. Hasn't been around. There's been reports on X that, maybe he's trying to get some more guaranteed money. I think he only has like almost $2 million or something guaranteed money on his contract. So, with the players he brought in, is Teron Johnson going to be one of those guys that just gets cut right off the rip and moves a guy like Greedy Vance, closer to that starting role? Those are all questions we have to be answering very, very soon. No, LOL. Basically, I agree with you on wanting to watch 7-on-7 versus hearing Hondo Carpenter, how good they're doing all summer, more times than not. Not said players play bad. 100%, man, because, that's all we get is, I guess, Hondo and then you have Jesse Merrick, but he doesn't really, show too many highlights. There's a couple more, like Vegas Sports Today, Heidi. Yeah, but there's a lot out there, but none of them are nothing that we need to see, right? We just hear reporters like you said, like Hondo last year. Um, the defense had 5 interceptions, but the offense played great. Wait, what do you mean? Who had the interceptions, right? Who threw the interceptions? Show us some plays, right? Show us. And I know they don't want to show that with guys showing, throwing interceptions, but you don't have to throw who showed the ball. You could throw the ball in the air with the guy intercepting it and who he was guarding, right? Because I want to see who's out there making plays on defense that's, stopping our receivers. Because if our defense is stopping them, how well is another defense going to be able to stop these guys, right? If they're winning contested catches against, guys like Jack Besh or Brock Bowers, how is other defense going to fare with that? So, yeah, I want to see all of that. My guy Arnie Garza in the building says, Rebel, which UDFAs do you think most likely make the 53? I don't want to project anything, right? I gave my guys that I thought made the 53, and I had go back and watch the live the other day, Arnie, but I want to say 3. I think I had 3 UDFAs that made the roster, and one of those was Salone. Um, Xavier Sori was the other, right? Because if you look at this linebacker room, not a lot of depth. I think Xavier Sori comes in and pushes Tommy Eichenberg and Cody Lindenberg right off the rip. But, Cody's been out there grinding, so Lindenberg. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 or 4. I'm going to be honest. I think Kimby still has a shot to make it. I believe Malik Benson makes it on this, on the roster as well. Xavier Sori, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be shocked whatsoever if a guy like Tanner Wall finds his way on the free safety spot and they move on from a guy like Isaiah Palomau because he's physical, he can tackle. He's a guy that finds the ball, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys that we have penciled in as making this 53-man roster get pushed out. So, to your question, Arnie Garza, right now I have those 3. But I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if it's more like 4 or 5, because there are some guys that can play ball. And, offensive line, the tackle position is up in the air. We have Colton Miller, and then, we don't know what they think of Charles Grant. We don't know what they think of Dalton Wagner. We don't know what they think of Isaiah Jada. We don't know what they think of the of Hemming. Right? We don't know what they think of Hemming. So there's a lot of guys that we don't know what they feel like. And I wouldn't be surprised if, some of these guys push DJ Glaze off this roster, right? Nobody's penciled in. And a lot of talks about, DJ Glaze still being that starter on the right side. But I just have a feeling that some of these guys that weren't drafted, by Spytek might not be on this roster. I think they're trying to clean all the loose ends from other drafts, right? On players that they don't see a future with. And I feel like they're trying to clean that up very, very quick, right? This year and the next year. And if you have a chance to, pull in some guys as a UDFA that can push for a starting job on the cheap, then, what? DJ Glaze is going on his third year, right? So, third year, that's one guy that you could, possibly be as a trade candidate. Hear a lot of talks about moving him to guard. I don't think DJ Glaze ever gets moved to a guard on the Las Vegas Raiders. If he can't play tackle or, right tackle or backup tackle, I just don't feel like there's a spot for him. So, question, who is your X factor in success and failure on the offense? On the offense and on defense. What do you mean by that, Arnie Garza? Like what player or which player does the offense and the defense, success go through? So let me know what you're thinking, what the question is. But if you want to know who is my who is our X factor in success and failure for the offense, it's the quarterback. It's always the quarterback, right? It's the offensive line can do their job, the running backs can do their job, the receivers do their job, but the quarterback makes the offensive line not good as well, from being able to get the ball out quick, knowing the routes, right? Being able to step up in the pocket and move around. So if your quarterback is good, he makes your offensive line good. He makes your running game better. He makes your receivers better, right? The receiver doesn't make a quarterback. The quarterback always makes the receiver. So for me, that X factor is going to have to be whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, or the sleeper Aiden O'Connell. Just don't Don't leave out Aiden O'Connell like everybody else does, right? Mo Moten came out and said the quarterback room, he'll break it down in 2 minutes. Let me pull this up. I think I'm gonna play this. One more last pull up. Let's see if it works. Yeah, one more pull up. Because I gotta play this. It's 2 minutes, breaks it down pretty fast. And then I'm getting off here. I forgot about that. All right, so this is, I have it right here, I think. Pretty sure I saved it. All right, let me see if I can get this up and to play. No, that just went to the Bleacher Report. All right. Shit, my bad. This one. I don't know if y'all could hear that or not, but let me try this again. That's not it. All right, it's this one. Exactly. Oh, hmm. All right, so that is that. I don't know if y'all heard it, if it went through, but that is Mo Moton saying the quarterback competition between Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, and Aiden O'Connell. No, Aiden O'Connell's not in this. I think is absolutely disrespectful. You know, for a kid that's come in and done nothing but help this team, win games, more games than we have, and that's probably why he's hated because he won too many games and we didn't get the quarterback that a lot of people wanted. But to act like this kid has no chance to whatsoever to compete, I think is crazy, right? We've heard Kubiak, we've heard Spytek all say they're all going to get a lot of reps and everybody's going to have a chance, to be that guy or show they could be that guy. So I thought it was funny, but I also thought again, kind of disrespectful to Aiden O'Connell to be like, oh, he's not even in the competition. Because let's just think about this, right? If Ian Rappaport, who wouldn't come out and say Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter day one, unless he knows what he's talking about, right? He's the inside guy. He has all that information. I don't need these on my ear. But he's that inside guy, right? He has all that info, and he's saying he's going to be the starter day one. However, if they really feel like Mendoza is going to sit this year, no matter what happens, because they just want to go out and let all the other positions compete and get better and then worry about the quarterback situation next year or later in the year. And if that's the case, then there should be a quarterback competition, not between Mendoza and Kirk Cousins, like he said. It should be between Aiden O'Connell and Kirk Cousins. I don't feel like Mendoza is in this, quarterback battle. I think he's going to take reps and learn. And when he's ready, then he might be. But I don't think he's going to be fighting for the starting position. I think it'll be Aiden O'Connell and Kirk Cousins, taking the majority of the snaps and may the best man win. So again, I think it's funny when you just act like players aren't even in the building and don't have a chance because they've done that with Aiden O'Connell, Dylan Labe for, the last couple of years, many players. And these guys just keep hanging around and making the roster no matter what seems to happen. You just can't shake them. So I thought that was funny. But the X factor, Arnie Garza, to answer your question, is always the quarterback. If you're saying not the quarterback, which guy needs to have success, success and failure, which guy needs to have success for our offense to be successful. I believe that's Ashton Genty and Mike Washington and whoever else is back there in the running game, right? We know Brock Bowers is going to get his. I feel like this offensive line under Rick Dennison is going to be a lot better, and I mean a lot. I don't think we're going to be ranked in the 20s. I feel like we're going to be a top 15 offensive line, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're a top 10 offensive line, within the first couple weeks, because I feel like we can run the ball. I feel like we can block, and Rick Dennison is going to bring the best out of these guys who played pretty well last year considering the circumstances, right? So Ashton Genty, Mike Washington is that guy. On defense, the X factor to me is not what you think. It's not Max Crosby. I think the X factor is who is ever on the other side of Max Crosby, because Max Crosby is going to get double teamed. He's going to get chipped, right? He's going to, get pushed around. They're going to have him doing stunts and all that. So my X factor is Malcolm Kuntz. It's, Jafari Harvey. It's Tonka Hemingway with, Twitty Payne with Twitty Pay, whichever one of those guys are on the opposite side of Max Crosby. They need to take full advantage of having one-on-one situations. And if they can do that, I believe those will be the X factor. And then my second X factor and failure, for me on this defense comes down to the safety position. If we have a safety that can stop the run, that can cover sideline to sidelines on the boundary, right, that can play that single high safety, or could play, two high safety and cover his halves or cover his quarter or cover his, the full damn field, I believe that's the X factor. We haven't had that since Marcus Epps, and our defense was pretty damn good with Marcus Epps and Trayvon Morig, right? that defense was pretty good. We didn't give up, huge passing yards, but our run defense wasn't good. So I think it comes down to Traden Stukes and Jeremy Chin and what the what our backfield is, and then the failure on for the offense is going to be the offensive line. If the offensive line isn't double what it was last year, then this team just doesn't have any chance for success. I'm curious, does anyone know which season we had the most rookies on opening day roster? My guess is that was long ago. That's a hell of a question. That's a hell of a question. Let's find that out. Which year for the Raiders did the most rookies and UDFAs make the roster? Damn, this says last year. 9 of our 11 draft picks made the initial 53-man roster. And then we saw a significant amount of UDFA players like Sam. I don't think that's right, bro. Sam Webb. I guess he did make it. Last year it said we had 11. Last year it said we had 11 rookies and UDFAs, which most of those were our rookie draft class made the roster. But before that, it's probably been a minute. Maybe probably 2014, we definitely had the most starters that lasted the longest. You had guys like Gabe Jackson, Khalil Mack, Derek Carr. Who else was in that draft? Somebody else was in that draft. I'm forgetting. Player or coach, scheme or talent? Player or coach, scheme or talent? Is that to the last question? Player or coach? I think the coaches that is the most meaningful our success is Rick Dennison. And then on defense, I'm gonna go with Travis Smith, the defensive line coach, because I feel like he's gonna get a lot more out of this defensive line than Robbie Leonard. I feel like Robbie Leonard had too many close relationships with the people that he was coaching, like Tyree Wilson, like Max Crosby, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the relationship that him and Max have, being best friends like that, talk daily, even when they're not on the practice field. Max says he talks to him, a couple times a day. So having that relationship, I think, could have probably hurt the Raiders of not being able to tell Max Crosby, hey, you need to take this play off, right? Let somebody else come in. Let's try a fresher body. You've been playing this whole damn game, right? We don't want to, risk injury. And I don't think they have that connection. So I could be wrong. I hope it's, I'm totally wrong. And it's the different, like, if he listens, Max, whatever Rob Leonard says, Max Crosby listens to, but I just don't feel like that's the case. So I think it all comes down to Travis Smith. I think he's going to coach Max Crosby a lot different. I feel like Max Crosby will have more respect for him. I don't want to say more respect, but more of a coaching respect, because, like I said, him and Robbie Leonard are more friends. Travis Smith is a guy that coached, Max when he was a rookie, a guy that helped him get to those 10 sacks, right? Helped him, being able to stop the run and all that. So those are my two coaches, Travis Smith and Rick Dennison, I think, are big. And then, the quarterback coach, how fast can you get Mendoza ready to play, if that's the way they want to go? What's more important, scheme fit, talent, or high-level coaching? Arnie Garza, I feel like you have to have all to be successful, right? You have to have the talent to run your scheme fit, and then you have to have the coaches to be able to teach your scheme fit, right? So I think all three are very important. 100%, man, 100%. Like if you don't have if you don't have the players to run your scheme fit, or the talent to run your scheme fit, then you're not going to be successful. If you don't have, a coach that has a good scheme fit, then you're not going to be successful. But if you have a coach that scheme fit helps players that are not, as talented be better and evolve, then, I think that's what we have. I think we have a coach in the building that has his scheme, that knows the scheme fit on offense. Now, defense, that's probably going to be a little bit of a work in progress, but we'll see in camp. If defense is ahead of the offense, by a long shot, like it usually is, that's a damn good sign, right? At least it should be. So I feel like you need all three, man. You got to have the talent to fit your scheme, and then you got to have the great coaches that are teachers that can teach your scheme, why your scheme works, and all three, man, all three. So you got to have them all. My guy Frank Weber says, "Do your thing, Reb." Well, appreciate you, my guy. You don't hear anything? What do you mean you don't hear anything? Can you not hear me? Tell me that. I've been talking for like the last hour. What? Are you serious? Stop playing. The success will mostly be dedicated by the play of the O line. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, you don't have to have a great offensive line, to make it to the playoffs. You just have to have a solid offensive line, right? They just need to do their job, not get beat all the time, not give up a lot of sacks. And, sometimes you can have a strong offensive line unit that doesn't have, a lot of great star names or star power. Look at the Patriots last year. They had one first round pick and in their rookie last year, right? What the hell's his name? But they had one tackle was a first round pick, and the rest of their offensive line, starting offensive line, were former 5th round picks from other teams. So, yes, it depends on the success of your offensive line. But if you have a coach that has a successful system and it's on a rhythm-based system and a timing-based, right? Kind of like Fernando Mendoza ran in Indiana, that offensive line didn't have to be great because the ball came out within, 2.5 seconds, and you don't have to block for a long time, right? So you don't have to run a lot of routes to get open. You don't have to block for a long time when you have a rhythm and timing system. So I think you can get away with not having a great offensive line, but yes, every good offensive system and defensive system depends on the success of the O line. Wow, that's surprising me. Last year rookie class. Yeah, I was surprised too. I was really surprised. I was like, damn, last year's was 11. So that's the most we've had in a long time. Yes, this coaching staff much improved over last season. I agree, Alec. My guy in the building. What's good? What's good? We couldn't hear the video. Oh, so you couldn't hear the video at all? So I appreciate my guy hears me. That's all that matters. As long as my guy 87 Naughty hears me, we good. We good. All right, man. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Biz hears me. All right, we cool. We cool. What else we got? Appreciate you, my brother. Some fans saying Quay Walker has fallen off since his real good rookie year. What do you think? I believe that could be the case, right? Quay's gonna have to show it, just like Nakobe Dean. Both of those guys are very high talented, linebackers that can cover. They can get to the quarterback, right? They can squeeze through the gaps and get skinny, stop the run, pressure the quarterback. They can also coverage. They can do a lot of things, but what they can't seem to do is stay healthy, both of them. And when they're healthy, they're dangerous. So a credit to the staff if they can keep those guys, 100%. And I really feel like right now they're going to be asked to play a lot of football, right? The 80, 90, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 89, 90% of the time, both of those guys are on the field. So it really depends on this depth of what we get with Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, for that matter. Both of them, have high injury history. And that's going to be, again, a testament to this training staff, to the coaching staff, to how they use them, and also the guys they develop behind them, right? I feel like you're going to have to get guys like Xavier and Sori to come in and play his butt off to make this roster, right? You're going to have to get guys like Chris, the other linebacker. I always forget his name. But yeah, you're gonna have to get, some of these UDFA linebackers, because we didn't draft one. You're gonna have to get some of these UDFAs to step up and make some plays, or maybe they have to go get one in free agency. But running a 3-4 defense, I just don't feel like Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean are enough right now. If you're telling me you're putting Max Crosby as a linebacker and Malcolm Kuntz's linebackers on the other side, I don't feel like that's enough either. I'm not comfortable with them going out in coverage or trying to chase down, running backs that get the edge, because Max is fast, and yes, you can stop the run when it's, in a short collapsed pocket area, but it's not too many times. I think one time last year where you see him, chase down running backs from behind. So that are in the open field. So we're going to need some, some vast improvement from a guy like Tommy Eichenberg and Cody Lindenberg. Both of those guys are going to have to step up and take a leap, because I think they're going to be asked to do an awful lot, right? We do have Segun Olovi, right? Where does he fit in, this roster? How does he fit on the team? I watched some film, and I'm still kind of questioning him and the Twitty Pay, right? I know the Twitty Pay pick was, after we traded Max Crosby, and also Segun as well. But watching them on film, I really question where they fit and how they're going to fit in this defense, and if they even make the team. That maybe some of these young guys make a push, right? You went out and got Kieron Crawford, so most likely Max and Kuntz will play some linebacker, and that's a problem to me. Because that's the one thing that scares me about this defense is we don't know how long Max is. Is he going to be out there like he always is, 98, 99% of the snaps, right? That's a problem to me. If you're running a 4-2-5. Do you have him on the line, on that 4-2-5, or do you have 4 defensive linemen, and, are you dropping him back into coverage? Are you just on certain packages where he's blitzing? So how they use Max Crosby in this defense, I'm really curious to see how they use, Twitty Pay, how they use Segun Olovi, right? How they use all these guys. I'm very, very interested to find out how it goes. So, man, I appreciate all y'all coming on. I know there's 17 people in the building. I've been on 2 hours and 12 minutes. Tway fits more like the 3-4. I get that, but is he going to be, in a 3-point stance? Is he going to have one hand in the dirt, right? Is he going to be down in a 3-point stance on the line? Is he going to be off the line? Is he going to be in there on plays that could, they think are rundowns and are possibly passing downs, and then you're going out and you having them, Twitty Payne covering your running back? I don't like that. I don't like that. So we'll see how he's used, when he's used, if these other guys can step up and make the choices. But I don't know how many defensive linemen and how many defensive edge guys they really keep, right? Last year we had 10, I believe, total. We had four edge guys, and Tyree counted as a defensive tackle, and I believe it was 10. So they kept 6 defensive tackles and 4 edge guys. But now you don't need 6 defensive tackles, right? You'd be surprised if you need 4. So that might reverse around, and I wouldn't be surprised if they keep 6 linebackers and only 3 edge edge rushers. I would not be surprised at that either, because again, we don't know what packages they're running, if it's going to be that Baltimore Ravens, type 4-2-5 or 3-3, right? 3-3-5. We have no idea. So all that will tell in due time. We are, what's the date today? The 10th. We are 4 days away. We are 4 days away from finding out who we play, when we play, where we play, how much we got to travel, how much we don't got to travel. All of that will come to light soon in 4 days. So shout out to everybody in the building for pulling up, rocking with your guy. I appreciate it. We will definitely be on tomorrow. We got some interviews coming up, some other things on work in process. We are almost to 2K, man. If we get to 2K, there might be a giveaway coming up. I'm not going to guarantee anything because I don't want people just subscribing for a damn giveaway. So if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like the content, man, hit the dislike button and let me know why you don't like the content. So, maybe I could change it up for you. Not going to happen. But peace. Much love. Thank y'all. Oh, and just remember, just win Doza.